Coming to you Tuesday around 2 o'clock. Sage, it's New Year's Eve, baby. But yesterday, we're going to dive into the Niners as they lost to the Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football, 40-34. Sage, it started out as a high-flying affair. Honestly, for Niners fans, I thought it was going to be a pretty good night, but it ended with a couple of interceptions by Brock Purdy and Brock Purdy getting injured. So, Sage, you were at Levi's. You were in the flesh. What did you see, my man?
I mean, yeah, for a game that I went to, just like a range of emotion, right? So it starts off, going into this game, not high expectations, right? So you're just thinking,
zero.
right,
I would almost say it was zero expectation from Niner fans.
Niners come out gunning. Levi's is rocking, like absolutely rocking. You see some Lions fans behind their bench, but there's no Lions fans really in sight. I had great seats, so I'm behind the end zone the Niners were going into in the fourth quarter. So I don't know, the one where the players tunneled, right?
Yes.
So I was there, 5 rows up, humming Niners fans, right?
I saw a lot of blue. So on the TV, I saw a lot of blue.
So the TV shows so that's why I mentioned that behind the road bench, because the TV shows the road bench, right? So that's where all the Lions fans were, and the blue sticks out. So a lot of Lions fans there, can't deny that. But then the fourth quarter, the picks come, the missed field goals come, the game's out of hand. What happens? All these cheap Detroit fans, they start coming down to my section. What do I hear? Jared Goff, like, let's go Lions.
You could hear it on TV, man. You could hear it on TV. There were loud-ass Jared Goff chants at Levi's Stadium.
Just embarrassing. Like, because I didn't care, right? Like, winning the game wasn't the top priority yesterday. At least it shouldn't have been to start. And then at the end, like, these Lions fans are coming into the bottom section, like, getting their voices heard, kind of embarrassing, like what Levi's was. So, I don't know, not high expectations, but at the end of the day, still felt embarrassed from it being at the game.
I mean, you saw it a little bit last year in that NFC Championship game. There were a good amount of Lions fans there, more than you would usually see at a home Niners NFC Championship. But clearly, I think yesterday the crowd became kind of a factor. But Sage, I mean, was that not the best the Niners have looked all year? Like, so they went touchdown, and then we're going to get into this guy, but Jake Mooney missed a field goal to end the half. But on offense, Sage, that was literally what we've been asking for all year, and it was with Brock Purdy, with, honestly, the most banged-up O-line you're going to see with the Niners the entire season. I was just impressed. I mean, we've been calling on Shanahan to do some of these things that we saw at the start of that game, and he was in his bag, man. I was fucking loving it. Even though I wanted to lose the game, I was loving what I was seeing.
No, offensively, right? We loved it. We loved what we saw on offense. We'll leave it at that.
Defense, oh, dear Lord.
We'll just say it so it's out there. But the stat going around, right? First game since 1937, 10 touchdowns, no punts. Really, it just felt like one of those, like, I
actually did not even hear that stat. That's fucking
awesome.
awesome.
Really? So yeah. Second game in NFL history with 10 touchdowns, no punts. First time it's happened in the Super Bowl era. First time since 1937. So if you thought what you were seeing yesterday wasn't normal, it wasn't, right? Obviously, there was like some turnovers, whatever, but just no punts in general. The game went by decently fast. I mean, the offense was just moving long drives. I mean, the Lions touched the ball once in that first quarter, right? The Niners were controlling it. Purdy was hitting everyone. Shanahan was scheming guys open. It looks so well, and we've just been asking for it, right? What have we been asking for, Chase? How about a little bit less of Debo, a little bit more Pearsall? I mean, I gotta apologize to the guy, right? Like, I was riding him off. I can only go off what we seen, right? When me and you were having the Caleb Williams debate, I said, "Am I projecting?" And you said, We're not experts. It's true. We're not experts. We go off what we have. And if that's what you're going to give me, bro, like, it doesn't have to be that every week, but damn, running open, schemed open. I mean, Brock Purdy sailed him once. He made like a one-handed grab to bring it in. A tough touchdown catch, while it was heavily contested, getting hit from the back. That's what we wanted to see.
I mean, looked great.
It took so much, like, to get to this point, like, but we talked about it even like at the end of that first half. No timeout, or one timeout, a minute 8 left. You stop the Lions the only time all game, and you're just gunning down the field, right? Like, you're aggressive in that 2-minute drill. I wish Kyle Shanahan coached like that all game. I wish he coached every game like there was nothing to lose. Like, I think the Niners would be the scariest team in the league last year if they were like that.
I mean, Sage, the number one thing that I saw when he called a timeout while the Lions had the ball with about 1:20 left in half, I was like, I've never seen that from Kyle Shanahan.
After you haven't stopped them all game.
I have never seen a situation where he's like, hold on, we got like a minute 5 left. Like, we need to try to like score a field goal. Like, I did not see that. But I feel like everybody watching the game knew right away. It's like, oh, okay, this is going to be high flying the entire way. Like nobody's going to punt, no offense or no defense the entire way. So I feel like Shanahan knew what kind of fight he was in. But going back to Pearsall, man, I mean, 8 catches, 141 yards, touchdown. Sage, his hands look good. Like he had that catch on the sideline. He was wide open. He was wide ass open. I mean, good on Shanahan, but these Detroit linebackers, sometimes when the 49ers went to play action, they just got fooled. Ricky Pearsall got open downfield, and Sage, like all the weapons that the Niners have, you saw him with the ball in his hands in space. He looked comfortable, man. I mean, he looked smooth getting those yak yards. We've been waiting on a game like this from Ricky Pearsall all year. Like you said, like we're not experts. I'm not going to be looking at his route tree and like analyzing like his digs and everything. I can only see what I've been seeing on tape, and there's been a lot of games where he put up goose eggs. So you can't say that he's been playing good, but I don't know what happened, Sage. He looked like a fucking polished receiver today.
That was like the first thing I noticed in the game. I said he set the tone early, right? That first drive, try in the red zone, tries to hurdle the dude, obviously fails, doesn't get that high, and then he has the touchdown catch, tough touchdown catch. Had the defender right on him, the one that got reversed, and just from there on out, he was open all game. I mean, we can talk about how good he was, or if we want to say how bad the Lions defense is, because it's awful.
They were bad. They were bad too.
It felt like we were playing the Bears again almost, just without a sick offense. I mean, if the Niners were able to stop the Lions and like the Lions weren't having these long drives, Niners could have put up 40 yesterday easily. They were getting whatever they wanted in the pass game. So I saw what, like, those are the things, right? Like we said, you don't come into this game. Obviously, maybe the players, they want to win, whatever, but as fans, there's certain things you want to see. We're not prioritizing winning at this point. That's one thing you love to see. Your first round pick, he's not a bust. You can say it at this point, he's not a bust. Is he a stud? Like, is he a star receiver? I'm not going to go that far, but he's serviceable. He can do that. He can make tough catches. He can run routes. He can get open. I mean, against the Lions C's team, but he can get open. He can take over a game. He should have really, like, this should have been his coming out party, but I mean, the defense just didn't help him out, and it's going to just go down as like a Purdy, Moody ruined it, when in reality, like, this guy shined. It was something we've been waiting for all year, and this guy, like, kind of took advantage of the stage. Played against a terrible defense, and he was open all game. So he's someone going forward that the Niners are going to have. They're going to, like, they're going to have to make some tough decisions with what they do with Debo, and I think, like, what you see with Pearsall, it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, I mean, in that first half stage, Ricky Pearsall was a star. I mean, I think the entire game, you could say for the 49ers, Ricky Pearsall was the one thing that stood out. But I'm just going to go back to a little bit of the summary of the game because I think that this was a big moment. I thought there was genuinely a thought from all Niners fans that at one point in the first half, you thought, holy shit, the Niners could actually win this one. So they were up 7. And I think that this was a turning point in the game stage. So it was a 4th and 3 for the Lions. As we know, Dan Campbell, no matter what, going to go for these 4th downs, especially with that defense. But the Niners actually turned them over on down. Sage, you had Sam Laporta in fantasy back in the end zone. It seemed like he was going to catch it, but I think it was Renardo Green who broke it up. Yeah. So the Niners get the ball back. They drive down the field, like I said, with about 1:10 left, up 8 already. You have a 51-yard Jake Moody field goal to go up 11 in the halftime, feeling like you actually have a control of the game. And then Sage, he missed it. I mean, Jake Moody was terrible all night. He's been terrible all year. The entire Jake Moody career as a 49er has been pretty questionable. And I think that that's the moment that we kind of knew, like, I don't think that Moody's going to make it back as the Niners kicker next year. It just felt wrong.
That was the Jake Moody moment for sure, because the 58-yarder, it's a little bit excusable. It was a cold night, whatever you want to say. He had to put a little extra to get it. That one you got to have. I mean, it was a clear night. There wasn't any, like, factors really. You know that it's gonna come down to it, and you just never have faith in him, right? I mean, he's gone. You have Richard Sherman coming out today saying, like, he's gone. I feel bad for the kid in the sense where, like,
the extra point was the nail in the coffin too. The extra point was like, okay, like, we actually can't bring you back.
I mean, it's not as simple as this, but when you lose by 6 and your kicker leaves 7 on the board, obviously the game script flips, but, like, you're the finger, you're the fall guy. Everyone's going to make him the fall guy for the season. The backup kickers, was it Carlson and Wright, whatever, they were 8 for 8. This guy on 40+ yard field goals now for this year. He's 9 for 18. It's bad. Or 9 for 18 or 9 for 19, something like that, on 40+ yarders. It's not good. I mean, you spent a 3rd round draft pick on this guy 2 years in a row now. You can't trust him. You go from Robbie Gould, who's like literally the surest thing in the postseason, never missed a postseason kick, to this guy. This guy who you can't trust to hit an extra point in the Super Bowl misses the most crucial extra point ever. Chiefs just need a field goal to go tie it after hitting a record-breaking field goal. Like, it's just like, it's that with him where he has the talent. He could kick it far. But at the end of the day, it's like I said, it's the guy at the driving range. I don't care if you could drive it 350 yards. When it comes down to it, you got to hit some fairways. This guy could kick it 60, 65 yards. You got to put it between the uprights. I don't care how far you could kick it, what your combine looks like. It's about putting it between the uprights. There's these things you got to put in between if you want the points. It's not about getting it there. It's about putting it through. And he didn't do that. He hasn't done it all season, and he's as good as gone. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with him. Part of me really does feel like they're going to bring him back because they like to double down on these guys.
They said they're going to throw out competition, but not next week. So Jake Moody's going to be the kicker for the 49ers next week. They brought up that they're probably going to bring in some competition in the offseason, but I don't even know if he's going to get there. I mean, Sage, you were at the game. Could you see what George Kittle was doing with Jake Moody? Did you have any view of that?
So it's funny because I would have had a view for it, but I just wasn't paying attention to it. Right, I was just when you're at the
probably
game,
not. You're probably like, I don't even want to fucking look at this guy.
Yeah, and I was in the end zone, the corner towards the Lions bench. So I could have seen it, but I wasn't paying attention, so I didn't catch it until I went home and watched the recap and saw it on TV. Right, like the TV broadcast version of it. I guess he told him you have some big kicks ahead of you, maybe in the UFL. Like so, I don't think it's coming in the NFL.
So he talked about it in his post-game presser. I don't know if you saw that, but
I saw the I like Jake quote.
No, so Jake Moody was asked, what did George Kittle say to you? And he basically said, apparently George went up to him and he's like, hey, do you believe in yourself? And Moody was like, yeah. He's like, all right, I believe in you too. Like, yeah, you've been through a lot. Like, I know you're working hard. Like, just keep your head up. And then he misses the extra guy. George Kittle's the best guy. I mean, talk about just a 49er that's rising up the all-time ranks for me. Favorite 49ers. The dude was an absolute stud today, but yeah, try to hype up Jake Moody, and it didn't work, Sage. I think the next kick was that extra point when I think your boy Josh Dobbs came and scored, and he missed that one too. Bad day. I think Jake Moody had the worst day of anybody.
And then how about on the onside kick, just booting it out of bounds?
Just booted it out of, yeah. I mean, we all knew. We all knew when he missed that extra point and they went for the onside kick. I'm like, this is coming nowhere close to the 49ers recovering it.
It was just like, come on, man. Like,
he was broken.
Help yourself
Jake
out?
Moody was broken as all hell.
It's one of those things where it's like you could redeem yourself if they recover this and put it back in the hands of the offense. Listen, I don't think he lost them the game, but he definitely was, or I don't think he was the solo reason they lost the game.
I was about to say, there's a clear way to look at it and be like, you left 7 points on the board and we lost by, well,
there was
6.
There was a lot more to it, but you're always gonna point to the kicker. It's the easiest target. And he's just been hated by the fan base all year. So it's just what's going to happen, I guess. Like they're going to just keep going after him.
Dude, it was so funny. I was listening to the post game with Dante Whitner and all them. And
oh my God,
Dante was literally like, I applaud Deebo Samuel for what he did earlier in the year. He's like, he definitely saw this going on like at the practice field that's been going on all year.
Right.
And try to like get a rise out of him.
That's probably what happened.
Jake Moody looks like a mental midget, right? I mean, just the fact that you miss an extra point like that after a couple misses. We've seen the great kickers. I mean, this is like with all great players. When they have a couple of errors, they don't let their mind get fixed on the fact that they just fucked up. They think about the next play. Jake Moody seems like a guy who crumbles. So, yeah, Dante Whitner, I don't know, maybe you applaud Deebo Samuel for what he tried to do, but it clearly didn't work.
No, it didn't work at all. I mean, it's gone backwards since then. Can't trust the guy. Decent chance he's not on the roster next year.
So, Sage, I think you said this. Maybe I misquoted you. I hate misquoting you, but you said that a lot of people may focus on the fact that Jake Moody and Brock Purdy were the reasons that the 49ers lost the game.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about Brock Purdy's overall performance on Monday?
I'd say it was a C. Like, I think it was a C. I think there was a lot of good there, right? I mean, like the 3 plays, right? You have the ball 28-24. You're driving in the third quarter. You could go get a 2-possession lead when the Lions can't stop you all game. You sail Pearsall. You sail him when your offense is moving. Pick. What are the Lions going to do? They're going to go down and score on your defense 9 out of 10 times. What do? They go down and score. Whatever. All's forgiven. So they end up, what is it? It's like 31-24, is it? Or whatever, when he throws his second pick. But so yeah, 31-24, 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. They're driving again. What does he do? pick. Sails him again, pick. He had him in the drive before, right? So Pearsall's running wide open down. It was the drive that ended in the Purdy run, the run for the touchdown. So when you're at the game, like it all just like goes by so fast. It's like a blur. But it was the drive that ended in the Purdy touchdown. He had Pearsall wide open down the sideline, and he kind of just like sailed it, hung it up. Pearsall would have scored if he just like kind of made like a decent pass.
Oh, you're saying on that deep ball, where Terry and Arnold got beat.
Yeah, it ended in a touchdown where he ran it in, but so all's forgiven. But I just think like he had a lot of yards, and that's what people are going to point to. He had some yards, but in the first half, 14 for 16, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. Look good.
Perfect. Damn near perfect, Sage.
Yeah. Second half, 13 for 19, 177 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. His 1 touchdown came on the little pitch to Debo. It's a pass. You're going to give it to him, but nothing spectacular, really, right? When guys were open, and even on the picks, too, like those weren't the only balls he sailed. He had Pearsall twice, and he sailed him over the middle. It seemed like there was something wrong. It seemed like he was kind of starting to lose confidence once the game got tighter, and there's actually a chance like, hey, they're going to win this if they just play perfect, right? Like the Lions and the Niners played a pretty similar game. The only difference is the Niners made the mistakes and the Niners didn't. So I can't say it was like scot-free. Like there's so many things we could point to. The O-line was a joke, right? Clearly the O-line's a joke. They weren't too bad. I thought they played a better game.
At the end of the game, they let up a lot, and he got hit. He was getting sacked.
It wore down.
For most of that game, the O-line wasn't an issue. I mean, the run game was not pretty, and I think that's because of the O-line. But
yeah,
in regards to pass protection, it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't bad. So I'm not going to say like Brock Purdy's the reason we lost. Brock. He ain't the reason we won. Is Jared Goff the reason the Lions won? Hell no. Hell no. I thought Purdy looked better than Goff for most of the day. Except
I mean, Jared Goff played good, Sage. Jared Goff played good.
Dude, did he? Like, really?
What I will say, I'll kind of agree with you in the sense that when I was watching that game, when I was looking at the Lions offense, I wasn't like, oh my God, Jared Goff. I was like, that O-line is moving the Niners D-line. Like the Niners D-line had no shot, especially like they were getting pushed back a couple yards every single run. And then you had Jahmyr Gibbs, who's a fucking monster. That guy is so impressive. I don't know.
What was it? 18 for 117, 6.5 a carry.
I mean, I don't know what you saw live, Stage, but on the TV, it was like, this guy is the best running back in the NFL. That's what I saw.
So it's funny. I literally said, this is the fourth.
And then in the pass game, too, it's like everything with that guy.
Yeah, no, 100%. He was almost as dominant as a passer, right? The way he ducked under, who was it? Was it Hufanga? Tried to tackle him, just runs up. And it's like, it seems like he gains 5 yards when you're in there in person. And then you look up, it's like a 13-yard gain. You're like, holy shit, he just makes it look so easy. I said the 2 fastest players I've seen live is Gibbs and then Jameson Williams, right? And then of course they're on the same team.
That's what I was going to get into, is the fact that you had that O-line, you had that weapon that Gibbs is. Amon-Ra is just like the toughest, most physical wide receiver in the league. He's very underrated. Let's be honest. I mean,
yeah.
I think he's the 3rd rated wide receiver in fantasy right now. Has over 100 catches, over 10 touchdowns, 1,000 yards. That dude's a stud. You got one of the best young tight ends, Laporta, and then a guy like Jameson Williams, who they said on the broadcast got clocked at a 4.1.
I don't know how much I believe that.
And then you saw that play where they had the end around from Amon-Ra to Jameson. You're like, you can't stop this fucking offense. Like,
no, you really
they can
can't.
hit you. They could hit you in so many places, and they got the O-line to protect Jared Goff and kind of establish the run game. So I'll agree with you with Jared Goff wasn't really the main factor, but the Lions offense was altogether solid. But let's get back to Brock Purdy. I mean, yes, he was on fire in the first half, but this kind of reminded me of the Dolphins game where I was impressed with Brock Purdy until he made the couple passes that broke the game for the 49ers. I mean, the first ball was bad, just overthrew Pearsall. I was more scared with the second one. I think the second one is kind of a play where that's where you realize the negative aspects of Brock Purdy, because Pearsall was open, right? But as we all know with Purdy, he doesn't have the arm, right? But the way that he times it up, gets in rhythm, he has to get it out at a certain point to get it into that window. And Kirby Joseph just jumped it. I mean, they brought it up. I think Aikman and Buck brought it up that's what the D coordinator told them before the game, that with this Kyle Shanahan offense, with Brock Purdy, you're going to have opportunities to jump some routes. If you notice something that's happening, you just got to have the balls to basically say, okay, I'm not scared about getting beat deep. I'm going to cut to the ball. And that's what he did. That's what he did.
He ran the route for the receiver.
Yeah, literally that. And then getting hurt at the end of the game. A lot of people are going to say, oh, that's not that big of a deal. What was it, a nerve? They said that
it's like
it hit a nerve in the right elbow. He said that it felt like his elbow was on fire.
I think it's literally the same thing that happened to Josh last week. I think it's like the exact same thing that happened to Josh.
Maybe, but they said that it didn't affect the UCL. Shanahan said that he's probably not going to play next game, and that it's not going to be a long-term injury. But let's be honest, Sage, the amount of elbow injuries that I've seen with this guy, I haven't seen this from any other quarterback. So even me as a Purdy supporter, I can't say that I'm just going to let go of all this elbow stuff. I'm not going to let go of the fact that he has a weak arm, that defenses, we've seen this with teams like the Chiefs, with these better defenses, that they kind of pick up on the fact that Purdy's going to anticipate some of these routes coming in. And that's going to be a weakness against these great defenses. You saw it on that play. You probably even saw it on the first interception. But yeah, it's hard to really assess what Brock Purdy is because he played so good when everybody was wide open. He was hitting them. He was running. I mean, he had that pump fake.
That's touchdown. What they were. They were wide open.
That was badass. But the fact that he had those 2 interceptions when you needed it most, kind of a microcosm of what we've seen from him the entire year.
Exactly. That's what I was going to get to, man. Like, it was the whole game was a microcosm, right? Defense can't stop the run. Purdy's looking good. And then in the clutch, makes some bad errors. Special teams, awful yet again. Debo is a fine returner. I think maybe just leave him at that and like a few catches here and there.
Just burn Debo. Burn Debo as much as you can. Yeah.
Like if Pearsall's going to do this in the pass game, like I don't want another target to go to Debo, but you're fine. Like you made a pick at in the first round this year. It seems like he's going to be able to step into that role fine, especially with Ayuk out there. I mean, this is the thing about Kyle, right? Like I love what I see from Ricky, but it's like, what is this theme where it's like, it's not until a guy's thrust into this opportunity that he starts to shine, right? Like Purdy, third on the depth chart behind Trey Lance, took Trey Lance and Jimmy G getting their knee and their ankle broken to basically get Purdy out there. Juwan Jennings, we've all known that Juwan's been a stud, right? Third and Juwan when it's a big play, whatever. It takes Ayuk and Debo going down early in the season for Juwan to emerge. Now Ricky, right? It takes Debo taking a step back, Ayuk gone, and Jennings kind of cooling down for Ricky to get this role when he's kind of been there. I know he had a rough start to the season, but Ricky Pearsall this week is the same person he was last week in Miami. I don't think this 1 week made a big difference. The flight didn't help him become a better player. It's been there. Just got to feature him. Just got to get him out in space. Let him do his thing. I'm happy, right? Like I said, I didn't want to win this game.
You got to be happy.
Chase, do you see everyone just like bitching and complaining about the whole like, oh my God, they threw 16 times in a row? Were you trying to win this game? You couldn't run the ball, right? Guerrero was
the Lions were scoring a touchdown every single time.
Yeah.
What are you trying to establish a run? What are you trying to burn 8 minutes clock every drive when they're just going to go down and score on your shitty defense within 3 minutes?
You're getting
I don't get that one either.
Too.
I saw Lombardi tweet that out. I didn't get that one.
It's like, who cares? You aren't trying to win. What do you want to do? You want to carry momentum. You want to see what Purdy is. You want to put him in these situations, see what Purdy could do, see what Pearsall could do, see what the offense looks like, right? Let him run a big boy offense. Let him try and pass, make his own reads, make his own decisions. You saw it against a shitty defense. It looked good until it didn't look good and it was nut crunch time. That is concerning. I can't say it's not concerning, but in that first half, I was really starting to have like, because I've obviously been the don't pay Brock guy. And I was starting to think like, okay, you know what? He's the better quarterback on this field. He's the better quarterback on this field. And then when it came down to it, he just wasn't. Then that's when
Sage, Tim Kawakami, after the first half, I saw him tweet. He said, really hard to look at Brock Purdy right now and not think that there's not 10 better quarterbacks in the NFL in the league right now than him. I think everybody was on the same page. When you saw Brock come out in that first half, really go blow to blow with this Lions offense that's been killing everybody this year.
That's what it was, right?
It made you think like, okay, like, fuck, maybe this is the right move to pay Brock Purdy.
And it's just like, and then it's like, those are the reservations I have, right? It was a perfect night. What were we nervous about if it was going to rain? It doesn't rain. It was a perfect night, right? So he had everything working. He's playing against a bad defense. I'm not gonna excuse that. That defense was awful. Guys were running wide open. He was still kind of missing throws, still sailing, but he got
Terry and Arnold had some nightmare coverages. I mean, they were showing the replays like he was bumping into his own guys, just like completely missing the guys going behind his back. That Lions defense is something to worry about if you're a Detroit fan.
Oh my goodness.
They are terrible.
I mean, we could, I want to talk about the Lions and what this game means for them in the long term, but I don't think like, oh my God, being at Levi's yesterday and them just going Jared, there was MVP chance. I swear, and I've been the biggest Philly hater until this year. If Philly plays them and the Lions
How
are
you gonna
favored,
hate Detroit, bro? How you gonna go that
dude,
route?
I
How can
don't
you root
care.
for the Philadelphia scumbags over Detroit?
Detroit versus everybody. I'm everybody, bro. Like I'm not Detroit, so I'm gonna be everybody. I'm gonna be versus them. Like I cannot wait. I think Philly will mash them, like straight up mash them. I think it's just such a total mismatch because Philly's gonna be able to dominate and score at will.
I don't
Assuming
think
Jalen Hurts.
I don't think you could stop this Lions offense. I don't think anybody's gonna be able to.
Can I
I
interest you
think
in
they're
Cooper
that
DeJean?
good.
Can I interest you
What?
in Cooper DeJean?
What is Cooper DeJean gonna do on Jameson Williams? You think
I'm
Cooper
joking.
DeJean can man that guy one-on-one?
I think it's just gonna be a
No
little bit of
fucking
what
way.
I think it's gonna be what we saw with the Niners, where it, like we said in that first quarter, Lions touch the ball once, right? You're gonna be dominating the ball, and you're gonna be able to move it on them. I think Philly's gonna be able to move it on them, and they're gonna be able to get at least 1 or 2 stops throughout the game. It's not gonna be like Buffalo's defense. Of course, when they're playing Aaron Rodgers, they look like the 85 fucking Bears. And then you put like Tyrod Taylor or like a decent quarterback. You see what Goff does against them. Like, I think they could get into a shootout with a team that's similar to them, like the Bills. But you put them against a team like the Chiefs. Obviously, their offense is better, but the Chiefs aren't bad to the point where they can't get a stop. They'll be able to get a stop. Put them against the Eagles. Lions offense is better than the Eagles defense. Eagles defense is going to be able to get a stop or two. I don't think the Lions are going to be able to stop anyone. Like, we'll see it this Sunday. They play the Vikings on Sunday Night Football. The Vikings are humming. Once again, they embarrass the Packers. Packers make a furious comeback at the end. It's never enough. So the score looks closer than the actual game was. We'll see it. I think the Vikings are going to go into Ford Field. I think they're going to beat them. I don't know if you agree with me on that, but what I saw from that Detroit defense, it's nothing to be Jared Goffing about, nothing to be MVPing about, no Super Bowl aspirations. I don't think they could win. Defense wins championships in this league, and they just don't have one. They're not getting any healthier. We talked about it, and they can't stop the ball. They can't stop Ricky Pearsall. They can't stop George Kittle.
Sage, what I will say is that because this defense is so bad, I agree with you. The only thing is that now they're fighting fire with fire. Like, they're going to be like Dan Campbell, his 4th down shit before the playoffs, before the entire defense got injured. You would say, please, like, Dan, chill out in these big moments. Bro, when they went for it on 4th and 6, I think the Niners were up, 28-24. They went for it 4th and goal from the 6. They hit Amon-Ra on a touchdown. John Lynch got so pissed. I mean, dude, it's backbreaking when you're just like 4th and 6, like, okay, field goal. It's like,
I think he was mad at
touchdown.
Renardo.
No, touchdown. Like, they're going to do that in every playoff game. Like, they're going to be going down on every 4th down. If the Niners, I am the entire year, I have not seen the Niners offense look like that. Do I think it's because Kyle Shanahan was in his bag because he was going up against Ben Johnson, tried to show him up a little bit? I do. I mostly think it's related to the fact that the Lions defense looked incompetent. And Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell saw that, and they know they're going to have to go for like every 4th down that's reasonable. And against a team like Philadelphia, I get the fact that they have a defense, but I don't think any defense is going to be able to stop this Lions offense, man. They just have it everywhere. And you're going to have to outscore them in Detroit if they beat Minnesota. It's going to be difficult. So I don't think the Lions are done. I definitely don't think the Lions are done yet.
Okay, so at home, maybe. I'm going to go into Sunday. I think they're going to lose. I'm assuming they're going to lose. I just think Minnesota, it's more about them than it is about the Lions. I just think Minnesota's humming. Lions look a little weak, but obviously they get that 1 seed. It's a little different. I do think Philly travels. I think Philly could bring that run game, bring that defense to Detroit and play well. So like you said, right? Well, the best part about this all is we're going to get to see it. Like, this is week 18. This is it for the regular season. The Niners are done after this week, right? Can't wait to get to Monday, and then we could actually talk about good teams, and we're going to get to see it all. Everything we've been talking about, projecting this whole entire year, we get to see it. So Sunday is obviously massive. Other than that, I don't think there's any big games other than that. The Rams clinched. The NFC South's locked up now by the Bucks, right? After the Falcons lost. So I think
basically,
I mean,
the Buccaneers need to lose and the Falcons need to win.
And then
I think the Buccaneers are playing the Saints, so that's not going to happen.
Yeah. And what else is there? The AFC North is still kind of up for grabs, but it seems like the Ravens are going to get that if they beat the Browns. So that's basically it. Like, everything's like set in stone now, right? Like, all
basically, the 7th seed in the NFC North. That's kind of what it's coming down to.
So we'll get to see it as we kind of like break it down and see what happens with these next few games, and then we'll get into the playoffs, right? Like, we'll see who comes out of that NFC North, who comes out of the NFC. Starting to look like, to me, it's going to be between Philly and Minnesota, but I think you saw some things with Detroit that you liked.
Yeah, no doubt we saw some things with Detroit that we liked. I think, do you want to save the entire Minnesota-Detroit conversation for a little bit later? I still got a couple
Yeah.
things to hit with this game.
Yeah, for
Because
sure. There's one guy we can't let off the hook, Chase.
Well, so hold on. Okay. Let's get into this one because the defense, as much as I'm complimenting the Lions offense, the defense was getting gashed all over the place in the air, especially in the run game. I think the Lions scored on every single possession except for when they got stopped on the 8-yard line on 4th down.
Yes.
Yeah. So they scored on every single drive. Nick Sorensen, just like I said before in the pregame, dead on arrival. Ben Johnson already is kicking Nick Sorensen's ass before the clock starts at 5:15 on Monday night in Levi's Stadium. And that's what you saw. They did not look good. Nick Bosa had a couple sacks. I think he was the standout player of the defense. But
oh, for sure.
Sage, we kind of brought this up before we hopped on, but the only injury that you could really say that's going on with this Niners defense is Javon Hargrave, who we've lost for a while, and Dre Greenlaw. So when you look at how bad this defense was for the 49ers, is it a personnel issue? Is it Nick Sorensen not knowing what he's doing? Is it a combination of both? And if so, is it more on the personnel or Nick Sorensen?
I think it's about, I'll say this. It's basically the same defense you had last year, minus Eric Armstead, right? Minus Hargrave. And that does show. So I think the personnel, it is an issue as well because you can't stop the run. People are gashing up the middle.
It's both. It's both.
So I'm not going to say it's entirely Nick Sorensen when it's clearly not, right? The personnel is clearly an issue, right? Maybe Dre Greenlaw was just the most valuable player in the NFL and we never knew it because the defense looked great with him. They were stopping the run with him. He's gone. They can't stop the run again. Coincidence? I don't know.
The amount of excuses I've seen for a second linebacker being out and how that just tanks the defense is incredible. But this guy's like getting a free pass. Everyone's like, oh, well, Dre Greenlaw's out. Like they were, Aikman was saying
no free passes here.
He was like saying like when he got injured in the Super Bowl, you kind of knew that the defense was not going to be that good heading into this year. Like you were already thinking at the Super Bowl how you're going to get affected the next year, which is true. But also, what the fuck? I mean, you lose one linebacker and we can't expect you to get a stop in a big game. I mean, I know that the playoffs are out of the question for the 49ers now, but you saw Kyle Shanahan. He was more fired up than I saw the entire year. John Lynch was in the booth. I don't know if you were able to see camera shots of John Lynch, but
first
oh my God, the big Brock Purdy interceptions, he was beside himself. On
that
4th and 6 where the Lions converted and got a touchdown, I think he was motherfucking the TV screen. Like, they wanted this one.
So bad. I saw something about that. I think they were pissed at how Renardo Green defended that. They were saying, like, I couldn't really tell, but apparently what they were saying is because Amon-Ra caught it short and ran in, is what they saw was Renardo was basically just guarding the back of the end zone, right? He wasn't like playing the
He did not look good. He stood out as somebody who was looking bad all day.
So what they were saying was that when I watched the replays, that he was just so out of position that it's kind of on Sorensen. Like your players got to be in position. It's a coaching thing. Because what does Sorensen always say? It was a communication error, whatever. Like that's like his go-to, whatever. Like instead of saying like we got to watch the film, we got to be better, it's on me. He says it was a communication error. Well, the communication's on you, man. Like you set the defense, you make the play calls. These guys are listening to you. I was so funny, Chase. Before the game, I was just looking at this defense, and I'm just like seeing like they're just doing their own thing. And then here comes Sorensen, like daps him up, hits them all in the helmet. I'm like, this guy does not have a clue what he's doing. Like he should be scheming, like looking at the Lions.
He's a puppet with no scheme, Sage. Nick Sorensen is a puppet with no scheme. He says,
I mean, dude, he was a special teams
we're going to try to get the best fucking coverage with 7 guys. And we're going to run 4 every single time. We're just going to go straight at them. We're not going to do any kind of different kind of 4-man rushes where you kind of switch it up, maybe go into different holes with different guys. It's so bland. It's so bland. It's been happening all year. This guy has no creativity.
Zero.
No way to stop a major 3rd down, major 4th down in a big spot of the game. What do we even have him in there for? What does he do? If you told me, hey, he's a really good vibes guy, we have him in here just so he could get everybody up, get everybody feeling good, I'd be like, that makes sense because schematics-wise, he does not a fucking thing.
No, it's the most bland vanilla cover, like zone coverage every time. Whenever it's like a big play, it seems like these guys just know exactly how to attack it, right? That 2-point conversion, a guy's running wide open on you. These trick plays, these end arounds. They tried the end around with Jameson until it worked. It seemed like we couldn't adjust to it. When we knew it was coming, we still couldn't stop it. It just seems like they know exactly what we're going to be into, how they can attack it, and when it really comes down to it, right? You don't always run your best plays, but when you need it, you note it down. and you save it for later. Right? Isn't that who was saying that? Was it TJ Watt or whatever? When he says like, when I see like an offensive tackle guarding me a certain way, and I know I could beat him, he's like, I don't expose it right away. I wait till the fourth quarter. I wait till we need a big stop, then I do it. Right? Seems like teams could do that with the Niners. They see something and they know when it comes down to it. Right? Because what are the Niners? Terrible situational defense. It's kind of always been that way, but this year it's even worse. And that's coaching. That's coaching. That's not knowing what to do. That's getting out schemed, and it happens week after week after week. So it's on Sorensen as well, right? Like the Chiefs, even when they had bad defenses, they were always situationally good. They could get stops when they needed to. The Patriots, they were always situationally good on defense. Now they're not. It's a coaching thing. Belichick leaves, right? Now they're terrible again, right? Because Gerard Mayo's there. Niners, situationally awful. It comes with Sorensen, the communication, how he sets his guys. So he's definitely not off the hook here, but the personnel is pretty bad. Like without
no doubt.
I'm going to shout him out here because we haven't really talked about him, but Bosa, I thought, say what you want about Pearsall. I thought Bosa was the best Niner out there last night. You couldn't tell.
He was up there, especially on defense. The
defense was getting gashed. I mean, without him,
it was hard to shout out to anybody on the defense when they gave up a score every single time, though.
And dude, I'm not going to call him out, but man, like Fred Warner, like how many times this season are you just going to go unnoticed, like and just kind of do nothing? Like Laporta ate on his dime. They weren't really.
I will say, yeah, clearly the fact that Fred Warner's been injured the entire year has changed his defense. Fred Warner's not been the same guy. So it's hard to blame the guy, though, when you know that he's playing with a fucking fractured ankle.
I know.
Like,
no, I
like how much are you going to shit on him? Like, he's trying his best, dude. Like, he's out there. He's trying to move around. He's just severely hampered right now with that injury.
It was disgusting on it. We had 4 quarterback hits, 4 pressures, all came from Bosa. We had 2 sacks all night. Both came from Bosa. He caused a holding on Panay. He was going up against Panay Sewell, too. Probably one of the best tackles in the league, top 5 tackle in the league. Kind of ate him up like in that first half. Like he was getting it. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it, but one of the sacks, he literally beat Panay Sewell, just fucking beat him. Then got Jared Goff down, gets speared. I forgot by who, but by somebody on the 49ers. Just as Bosa takes Goff to the ground, gets absolutely speared in the helmet by the guy. So just imagine having a tough day like, hey, man, like I'm going up against this Lions D-line. I'm already fucking injured. Or this Lions O-line, I'm already injured. And then when I get a sack, I get speared in the helmet by my own teammates. So no one was helping Nick Bosa out, especially not Leonard Floyd or anybody on the interior D-line.
So I didn't notice that, but I did notice after a sack, he didn't celebrate. He was kind of grimacing. I'm assuming.
Yeah, he went to the sideline. He was fucking hurt. He was down for a couple.
Okay, so I actually didn't catch that. So I'm assuming it was there. I mean, yeah, man, like this guy's doing all he can to like hold this defense up. We saw what we were against. Was it Buffalo without him? Like how gross it was. It's just like even when he's out there. It comes in, he's a DN, right? He's not going to get a sack every fucking play. Not even Lawrence Taylor could do that, right? He's going to make a difference, but he's a DN. You could scheme around him. What did they do? They ran the ball to him. They ran screen passes to his side. Like they were able to kind of minimize him. He's doing all he can, but at the end of the day, like he needs help. Leonard Floyd, haven't heard your name in 2 weeks. Jordan Elliott, what happened to you? Gross Matos, what happened to you? It's Nick Bosa versus the world out there. Like he's trying to hold this defense on his own.
So I'll tell you why I do blame Nick Sorensen a majority, though, even though that we don't have a lot of the personnel that we would like out there. The broadcast was on fire yesterday, Sage. I mean, what they were talking about, though, and what I'm going to reference is they were bringing up when the Lions were getting gashed. They panned over to Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator for the Lions, and he was just flabbergasted, right? They were just saying, Aaron Glenn right now is just trying to figure out a way to stop this 49ers offense any single way. You know what it was? He knew that they weren't going to, the Lions defense wasn't going to stop the 49ers if they just rolled out the same shit over and over again. They had to take some risks. They had to try to fuck something up and get a turnover or two. What did they do? Probably went over to the safeties, let them know, looked at the little notepad, what is that called?
The tablet or whatever.
The tablet, and said, hey, like on a couple of these routes coming across the middle of the field, like you have an opportunity to jump it. Like no one's going vertical on you. Nobody on this offense is going 40 yards past. You don't have to worry about your backside. If you see something coming up, go for it because we need to get a stop. That's something that Sorensen doesn't have. He doesn't have the balls to say like, hey, man, we got to take some risks here. He didn't take any risks.
Oh, they take 0 risks. No blitz, nothing.
He didn't take any risks. He was just getting gashed in the run game, gashed in the pass game. Ben Johnson was just toying with them. With some of those Jameson runs, like I brought up earlier, that Amon-Ra to Jameson. What would you even call that? A pitch? Or
the hook and ladder?
The hook and ladder.
Yeah.
So you saw the Lions are in the same situation. They don't have a lot of personnel. They've been getting ravaged with injuries all year. but a good defensive coordinator finds a way to get a stop, to get a big play that switches the momentum of the game the entire year. You've seen that the 49ers can't do that. They can't get a big turnover when it matters. Hell, they can't even get a big stop. I mean, we've given up so many leads. That's in part because the defense isn't clutch at all. And I think that falls on Nick Sorensen.
Yeah, I mean, what's crazy about that hook and ladder too is the Lions run it so much. It's almost like when Kelsey has the ball and he looks to like pass it backwards. You know he's actually looking to do it. It's not a fugazi, right? Like he's done it. He looks to do it. The Lions run that play a lot. They've run it on third down. They run it on fourth down. So to not even be prepared when you see Jameson coming around, you see Amon-Ra go to a knee, you should know what, I mean, obviously it's not the Super Bowl. You don't have 2 weeks to prepare for it, but the Niners got up for this game, right? They stood up.
Ben Johnson did too. I don't know if you saw his reaction.
He did for sure.
After that hook and ladder, Sage, it was almost like they scored the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. He was that fucking pumped. There was something going on with Ben Johnson. There's something going on with Ben Johnson, Kyle Shanahan. I don't know if they don't like each other, if there's such a healthy respect for each other that when they go head up against each other, they're trying to prove to the other one that, which one's better. Both Ben Johnson and Kyle Shanahan were pumped the fuck up last game. In a game that did not matter for both sides. Yeah, it literally did not matter for both sides.
I know that was the thing, right? So as someone who had some interest in that game, right? After that first drive, you see Juwan going at it. And then at the very end, they throw Juwan into the stands, right? Was it Arnold who hit him into the stands, right? Or that little like camera area.
Juwan Jennings blocked Harry and Arnold all the way into the back of the end zone. I mean, I know that Jennings eventually got into the stands, but Jennings did all the work there. I mean, he 100% dogged Terry and Arnold.
And he got cheap shotted. He literally got cheap shotted.
Yeah.
And they were just going at it all game. You see the sidelines, right? Like you mentioned, like John Lynch, you said, was going crazy. Shanahan's going crazy. Ben Johnson's going crazy. I saw it with Jared Goff on the sideline, right? After that turnover on downs. Like both sides for whatever
reason. A lot of emotions, like Jared Goff in a homecoming game. Like, that's a factor too.
So I think you're right. There's something to it. There's something to it where I think both teams wanted to play for their coaches and like stand up.
Both teams fucking hate each other. I think that these teams did not like each other.
Yeah, Lions wanted their get back and 49ers didn't want to get embarrassed. I mean, it's just so sad. Like literally like 365 days ago, the Niners and the Lions were playing in the NFC Championship game. A year later, these teams, like they're both kind of ravaged by injury, but it doesn't really matter, right? Like the Lions offense, relatively healthy, maybe a big name with Montgomery gone. Niners offense, decently healthy. Defense, I mean, it's banged up for sure. Defense, decently healthy though. Niners have some injuries on the offense, but it's impacted the Niners way more. Like the Niners are just clearly not on the Lions level. Home game, called your best game of the season, moving the ball, and it still wasn't enough. Still kind of got dominated in that second half. So you kind of see like the trajectory of these teams, and I don't want bad blood with the Lions. Like that's one team because they're going to embarrass you, and if you got to see them again, they're going to come after you again.
Well, there was definitely something. You couldn't see this because you were at the game, but after Amon-Ra scored that touchdown, did you see what he was doing to the cameras to celebrate?
No.
So 3 of them came. They were just acting like they were whipping the camera, basically. And then he comes out after the game. He's like, "We whipped them, boys." I think he said that on Twitter. So they were talking.
I'm telling
shit.
you, bro. I cannot. I cannot wait.
Like, yeah, go ahead.
I cannot wait for Philly to handle these guys. It's gonna happen. Maybe Sam Darnold does it. I cannot wait.
Philly did kick ass this week with Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett with an all-time blunder, by the way. Did you see that?
Oh, that was the like hold tuck, dude. That was the funniest thing.
Like kind of like had his feet up and like fell and fumbled it. That was an all-timer right there. But
I mean, and he got injured on that, right? And then they had to bring in the other guy, McKee.
Yeah, and I think he had 5 passes. I think he had 4 completions for 2 touchdowns, like 100 yards.
Dude, he was hitting some dimes to Devonta Smith. I was like, who the fuck's this guy? He might be better than Pickett. I'll pull it up.
Kenny Pickett's awful. We've been knowing this.
He's awful. He's literally like the fake slide merchant. Other than that, like you wouldn't know who this guy was. Tanner McKee, 3 for 4 with 2 touchdowns.
Better Tanner Mordecai or Tanner McKee.
Yeah, 2 guys you never want on your team. The fucking Tanner Mordecai crowd. I swear to God. Like everyone's saying bench.
I mean, you might see him. I mean, is there any chance that you see him on week 18, or do you think they just roll out Dobbs?
I think they're gonna roll out Dobbs. I think it's a competition now for the backup for next year. It seems like they want to bring. It seems like they're not gonna make any drastic changes. Purdy will be back for sure. I think Moody's gonna be back. I just think they're gonna try and up the ante, bring some competition.
I don't think Moody's back, Sage. Shanahan looked disgusted with him after he missed those kicks.
I think those are the two. two hardest positions to find is kicker and quarterback. And of course, the Niners have now kind of like a question.
Are you sure that kicker is the hardest position to find in the league? I mean, I don't know. I feel like you could pick up a guy off the side of the fucking street who can hit a 50-yard field goal.
No, it isn't.
Meanwhile, this guy can't hit an extra point.
Like Jesse Bates, the Lions kicker, they got him from the UFL. Brandon Aubrey, where did they get? They get him from like a soccer league, or did they get him from the UFL too? Wherever they got him from.
I think he was a soccer player. I think it was an
ex-soccer
player.
Wherever they find these guys, so they're out there, man. It just seems like you'd ever want to spend a draft pick on. I mean, Wishnowsky, draft pick. Moody, draft pick. Wishnowsky's good. Is he elite to be a 4th-round pick? No. Maybe don't spend a draft pick on him. I mean, like look at the Chiefs, right? The Bills draft Ariza, your boy from San Diego State. Gets in a little trouble. They cut him, pick him up for free. Now they
acquitted, by the way. Just for
but
the
I'm saying
like
you get one of the best punters in the league, right? Off the streets for free. Kickers.
Yeah.
Sign Anders Carlson. He looked fine. He was good enough. I mean, he didn't miss a kick.
Better than fucking Moody. That's for damn sure.
Get him off the streets. So maybe I misspoke there with kicker, but you got to get rid of something. You got to get rid of him.
So all the 49ers fans who are saying you feel bad for Jake Moody, I get it. You see his face. He looks sad. He looks sad after the post-game stage. How much do you think this guy? Puppy. How much do you think this guy gets paid a year?
I'm gonna guess $7 million.
Oh Jesus, no, not even close. 1.5.
Okay. I don't know why I said 7. I think maybe that was like the entirety of his contract was $7 million.
Wow. Could you? I think people would be really pissed off if they found out that $7 million of the cap space was going to fucking Jake Moody and he's doing this. But I think he signed a 5-year.
4-year 5.4. There it is. Okay. I just looked it up.
So I think he makes about 1.25. But so to all the people who feel really sad for Jake Moody, he's gonna be all right. He's probably doing a lot better. He's doing a lot better than you right now.
Yeah.
But
like there's people who are getting laid off for doing better jobs around the country.
Exactly. I mean, I'm just trying to wrap this up here, Sage, when it comes to the Niners. We brought up Shanahan. I mean, he called a great game. Is there any way that you could diss Shanahan for what the Niners put out on Monday night?
No, my only complaint is that it hasn't been this aggressive his whole thing because it's in there. I love that he stood up for this. Like I said, bro, like there's a pride thing. Like there's momentum you carry into the next season. They lost. It's kind of like what we said. Like there's good losses. Like the Patriots are leading the league in good losses. They get a lot of moral victories. Like they see a lot of things with Drake May when they win, but they're still when they lose, but they're losing the game and now they have the number 1 pick. Like the Niners, you wanted to lose, but you had pride. You fought hard. You kind of hung in there until your quarterback fucked up. And you called a great game against that Lions defense. But now what are they? They're in the top 10 for draft now, or they're just right outside the top 10?
So the 49ers are 11, and they seem locked in. I think they're locked into 11, so that's good.
I mean, we could do like a week 18 outlook, but like you said, they're locked into 11. I wouldn't play Purdy. I don't care if he's fine.
I don't think he's going to be able to play.
So, yeah, even if they said he's fine, whatever. I mean, Shanahan said like he should be fine, but you don't
Purdy
play him.
Came out in the press game and said it felt like my elbow was on fire.
On fire. I did see that. Okay, so who are the week 8? Like we could just wrap it up here. So just like a week 18 topic, but like the week 18 must bench.
I mean, you gotta say Fred. I mean, I don't know. Is Fred in a situation like Tiger Woods in the 08 U.S. Open where he already tore his shit? You can't hurt it anymore. So there's no real risk in putting him out there. If there is a risk that Fred Warner's going to get more hurt than he already is, I'd say you got to let him go. Nick Bosa, he's been banged up all year.
Yeah, Bosa's
just take
my
a seat.
number 1.
Take a seat, Bosa. Like, come on, right?
I don't know if Kittle has any incentives he's going for, if there's anything he wants to like try and get, but I think he should be done too. I think you let Debo play. You let Pearsall play. You got to throw some guys out there. You let the whole O-line play.
Yeah, Debo's a week 18 must have 30 touches. Like, just give Debo as much touches as possible. Put out as much good stuff as you possibly can try to get out there with Debo so you could trade his ass in the offseason. I get that he's been playing better the past couple games, but what you're seeing with Pearsall now and just thinking that Brandon Ayuk's going to be coming back, you got Juwan, who's kind of always been great, that, like you said, like we've known, but he's kind of come into his own this year. He's gotten some national media recognition. When you see those 3 wide receivers, you got to think Debo, like, get the fuck out. Like, we don't need you at all. So, Debo,
we'd love to have you on special teams.
30 carries.
For 20 million.
Get traded, please.
Yeah. I mean, same, like I said, same contract as Amon-Ra. Same contract as AJ Brown. Production nowhere near the same.
So wait, Sage, I have a great quote from Shanahan in the post-game presser talking about Moody. Do you hear this one?
No, give it to me.
So they asked him, They said, so Kyle, after the 51, like, think about it in like a really professional manner. It was like, so after Jake's 51-yard miss and then the 58-yard miss obviously was pushed a little bit left. And then finally after the extra point miss, did you think to yourself on the sideline that we may have to evaluate our kicker position heading into next year? And then Kyle Shanahan responded, looked so pissed. He was like, well, at all times we're evaluating everything we can for all positions. So yeah, we're going to be doing that for the kicker position. I don't know, Sage. I don't know what we've been hearing about Jake Moody. I think you got Kyle Shanahan 30 minutes after the game. I think those were his real emotions. It seemed like he wanted him out yesterday.
Yeah, 100%. I think if they still had access to Anders Carlson, they'd have him on the team right now. Do you think that was that a Shanahan or was that a Lynch pick or was that a Steve Slowick pick, you think?
I don't know. I think even if you drafted Jake Moody in like the 7th round, it's just like, wow, you spent a draft pick on this guy? Like, this guy's awful. The fact that you picked him like, what was it, 98th overall?
Yeah, 98th, 3rd round, 98th pick.
You know there were a couple Pro Bowlers behind and past the 3rd round. So anybody could look back at that draft, be like, the Niners literally drafted Jake Moody over this Pro Bowl D lineman or this Pro Bowl guard. So I don't know if
it was a higher pick than Amon-Ra.
I bet you it was a Shanahan pick. I bet you it was a Shanahan pick because I think that Shanahan running his offense loves to have a field goal kicker who's reliable. Right? I mean, they had that with Robbie Gould the entire time. Can you not hear me?
No, I can hear you. Sorry, I'm just looking at that class. All the picks around him are like insane busts. It's actually kind of hysterical.
Well, they picked Cameron Latu, I think, 2 picks after that.
2 picks after him already. Yeah. He's not even on the team anymore. I'm trying to see like who's the first big name to go after him. There's not really one. I mean, it's funny because the Patriots drafted Chad Ryland in the next round, and then he's already on his second team. So maybe note to everyone, don't draft a kicker. Wow, this was a terrible draft. My God, no big 4th round picks. Whatever. Either way, anyone else would have helped.
Yeah, so Shanahan or Lynch, I don't know, but it was a bad pick, man. Yeah, but I mean, I think we covered it, Sage. I think that coming out of this game, you were obviously happy that the Niners still had fight. That shows that
Puka went in the 5th round.
Oh,
there you
Jesus Christ. Can you imagine? Oh, my God. Can you imagine this team with like Puka Nacua just being like a 5th or 6th round wide receiver pick?
All right, Chase, bonus topic. Puka or Amon-Ra? Because they remind me of each other a lot.
Okay, so I think I'm going to say Amon-Ra because in going up against Puka in fantasy this week, it was so brutal to go up against. But Matthew Stafford, we saw this with Cooper Kupp a couple years ago. I think we're seeing it with Puka Nacua now. He switched into that role where Matthew Stafford's going to give him 18 targets a game. Every single big play, he's going to look right at Puka Nacua. If he has to force it in there and risk getting intercepted, he's going to do it. So I think if we're talking fantasy-wise, like I'd rather have Puka because I know that Matthew Stafford's going to be throwing his way the entire time. But as a pure football player, I don't know.
Yeah, just pure football.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. I got to go with Amon-Ra.
I like your train of thought, too. Like, I think I'd probably agree with that.
Like, I just feel like Amon-Ra can't be guarded one-on-one. Then with the ball in his hand, you can't bring him down because he's so strong. He has great hands. He always gets 110 catches every year. Big plays, too. It's not like he's a guy where, he like racks up stacks in the first half, and then in the second half, he kind of cools down, a la Deebo Samuel, or even in some situations like a George Kittle. This guy comes up in the biggest situations, too, from what I've seen. So Amon-Ra's a stud, man. I think I'd take him, but it's close. Puka's a stud, too.
Yeah, we're ranking tier A right here. Puka is younger, though, too. Some more time to he had a way more impressive rookie year.
How much younger is he?
I don't know. I meant more so like NFL younger. It wouldn't be shock me if they were around the same age. So Puka's 23. Puka's really young. Wow. Puka's only 23. So he was 22 last year. Amon-Ra's 25.
So they're both young. You're the guy who likes guys under 25. You always bring that up. It's like, what studs do you have under 25? It's like 25 is fucking young, man. I mean, I'm 26. Shit, I feel
25 and under. 25 and under. I just use that threshold because it helps my argument for the Niners.
Yeah, 100%, because it's always like guys who are like 26, 27. But all right, Sage, we're coming up on an hour here. Do we want to just talk a little bit about that Lions-Vikings game, like a little preview, kind of just like what we think about the NFC North? I know we already dived into it a little bit, but This may be the game. This may be the regular season game of the century so far.
Nah, I think we saved that for our recap. We'll definitely have some money on it too. So I think maybe then.
I mean, do we want to talk about what we're seeing from both teams though? Just a little bit. I mean, this game's gonna be fucking awesome. We don't even have to preview it, but like, how awesome is it that you get Week 18? This is gonna be on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
You had a similar situation in 2019 with the 49ers and the Seahawks, where it's basically like winner takes the division, winner takes a 1 seed, I think, in the NFC. I don't know if it was like that for the Seahawks, actually. I think the Seahawks would have gotten the 2 seed in 2019, but this situation is like whoever wins the division, wins the 1 seed, and if you lose, you're a 14-3 5 seed, and you're going on the road in 6 days.
Yeah, we'll get into it a little bit. So we'll talk about it in our westbound and around, but I mean, the Vikings right now, they got to be the hottest team in the NFL, right? It's got to just be them. They keep winning close games, whether they need it from their offense, their defense. It's Jefferson, it's Aaron Jones, it's Jordan Addison. Any given week, it could be someone else like helping them win the game. Their defense situationally is great. I mean, like I said, I think that they dominated that Packers team. I think they're super well coached.
That was a statement win, man. That was a statement win.
Sam Darnold.
They almost fucked it up. They almost fucked it up.
They did, but do you know what I love about them is just like they're aggressive 24/7. Like we saw it against the Cardinals a few weeks back where they're not just trying to run out the clock. Like they know they have Justin Jefferson. When it gets down to it, like they need to just get 2 first downs. They're not going to go run, make you burn time out.
O'Connell threw it first play.
They're throwing it. Guard our best receivers. We're going to beat
play action, roll out.
Yeah, we're going to beat you the same way we got this lead. Like ain't shit changing. Like we're unpredictable. Like the way that they like that play at the end, I forget what running back it was too, but the play action, they get him wide open in the flat, just throws like a lollipop. Just how to get it there, he gets it there. It's just like they come at you so aggressively that they can scheme these guys open. It's not a surprise. It's not like a little like, oh, we saw this coming. They're gonna attack you all 3 levels. Like they threw it down deep to Jefferson, right? They're still attacking all 3 levels of the defense. You don't think that you can't stack the box because then what's gonna happen? Jefferson's going over your head, 25 yards. What was it? 36-yard gain. You got Addison over the middle. You could put Jefferson over the middle. They're just going to come at you in different ways. Dump off Aaron Jones. Then they run into Aaron Jones. Like, I just think situationally, they're one of the best teams in the NFL. Like I said, they're great situationally offense, great situationally on defense. It's because of the coaching. It's because of Flores.
100%.
It's because of O'Connell. So I think that I'm really starting to buy in on this Vikings team. I see it as I started watching more week in and week out. Like, we were on a chase. Like, they almost didn't cover. They almost blew the cover, but we kind of had.
They were up they were up 17. The only reason I think the Packers realistically had a shot there is because the Vikings and what Brian Flores was doing to them, they were so shook stage. The Packers offense didn't know what to do. They couldn't move the ball. Jordan Love, we're gonna get into this, like you said.
My thoughts on that guy. Oh my goodness.
But I'm not that impressed, man. I'm not that impressed with what I saw.
It's falling off quick for that guy.
Clearly, Brian Flores was just scheming up these looks that made it hard for Jordan Love to figure out what was going on, but that was happening the whole game. Then you fall a little bit into that zone kind of, why am I blanking on what it's called when people are up 14 and they just kind of like let up coverage? What is that called? Prevent. When you're playing prevent D. So I think that opened it up for the Packers a little bit. But Sam Darnold looked like one of the, I mean, people are putting him in the MVP conversation right now. And you got all these weapons. You got Kevin O'Connell calling plays for you. And then you got that home field advantage stage. I mean, if they could win and get the 1 seed, that's when it gets really real.
Yeah, 100%. Going into Minnesota is way different than them going on the road. They get that. We talked about it last.
I think that's the best home field advantage in the league.
I don't know. It being in a dome.
What's up there? What's up there?
So it being in a dome makes me like question it. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased.
You're scared of the dome. You're scared of the dome factor.
I just think like it's better when you're like the Bills, where you have that crowd and they got to come play in cold weather, where it's like you have both. So like I think Buffalo's up there, Kansas City's up there because they have the weather and they're loud.
Arrowhead for sure.
Yeah. So I think those are like, when I think about it, those are the top 3. I mean, Philly, like, because they're an NFC team that plays in super cold weather. I think that
Philly is full of a bunch of psychos.
Yeah, that too. Like they'll throw batteries at you.
Yeah, but okay, Sage. I actually have a good way that we could close out these last couple of minutes here.
Let's do it.
College football, man. What do you think is going to happen? I mean, we got to be. What's that?
I said, oh my God.
Right. I mean,
big day tomorrow, man.
Today we have Penn State, Boise. Penn State minus 12.5. I'm looking at Bovada, Sage, so I don't know if these lines are true right here. But
okay, I haven't looked at it today, but last I saw was Penn State minus 13, so maybe it's moved.
I mean, I don't know.
That's the
Call me,
Fiesta
call me
Bowl, right?
crazy. Call me an old school guy. I see Boise State in Fiesta Bowl, and I think that there's a shot that they win. So if you're giving me 12.5 with who I think the Heisman should have been, in all honesty.
Right. I'm with you on that one for sure.
It was that just like a complete media play where
Oh my God. Yeah. It was
because
just
he was on
played and
Deion
seeded.
Sanders' team, because
Yeah.
he played both ways, because there was so much hype around Colorado that he won the Heisman because of that, because Ashton Genty seemed like the best running back I've seen in college football history.
I mean, what
And he
is
didn't
Boise
even win the
State?
Heisman.
They're the 3 seed. They're literally the 3 seed. Why does it matter in the NFL MVP discussion, but it doesn't matter in college football? I don't get it. Like, this guy carried his team to the 3 seed. He's on sorry, I wasn't prepped for this, but I just want to pull up his stats just to say like how, like when we played, so their one loss this year was at Oregon, who's the 1 seed, and they lost 37-34 in that game.
And nobody's given them any chance against Penn State, which is crazy to me. Like I've seen Penn State a couple times. I'm not impressed with Penn State at all.
Ashton Genty in that game, 25 carries, 192 yards, 7.7 yards per carry against Oregon. Like, it's not like he's doing this against fucking Gonzaga or whoever the hell like they were playing. He's doing it against Oregon.
Like fucking Kansas State, like everybody that Colorado went up against this year. I mean,
yeah.
Did the Big 12 even get a top 4 seed for the winner?
No. Did they get?
They didn't. No, they didn't, because the league was so bad.
So it just shows you, man, he did it against better competition, broke records. Like, eye test backed it up. Like, this guy's explosive. Like, he breaks through that first level, he's gone. He gets into the secondary, they're not bringing him down. So I don't know, man. It just seemed like it was like seeded all year. The media really wanted Deion's guys to get it. It seemed like Deion, it started with they wanted it to be Shadur, and then it turned into, okay, now let's try and push Travis Hunter. They were going to do whatever they could to get one of those guys the Heisman. Whatever. Shadur's going to be the number 1 or number 2 pick. Travis Hunter's going to get, or got the Heisman, and then Genty kind of gets screwed, but his team has a chance here. I mean, they're the 3 seed, and they're going against the 6 seed, and they're underdogs by 13 points, almost 2 touchdowns. So I think it's extremely disrespectful. Like, extremely disrespectful. I think that's a surefire, like, you got to sprinkle the money line type bet.
Right? I mean, I feel pretty confident that Penn State that Boise State has a shot to win that game. I think the blowout stage, I think this one's going to be a blowout. I mean, Texas, Arizona State. I'll be honest with you, man. I'm not impressed with
Texas.
You don't like Texas?
I just haven't been impressed. I had such high hopes for them after the first month of the season, and they've kind of like regressed, where I thought like, dude, I just love the dogs tomorrow. I love all 3 dogs tomorrow. Like, I really do.
So what game is that? Texas, Arizona State. Is that the
Chick-fil-A
Orange Bowl?
Peach Bowl. That's the Peach
That's
Bowl.
the Peach Bowl.
Yeah. So
where is that, in Georgia? That's Georgia?
It'll be Georgia, yeah, because I don't think they could have Georgia playing it. So Georgia's in the Sugar Bowl.
Let's see. So Peach Bowl, yeah, Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, it's at the Falcon Stadium. But I don't know, Sage. I mean, I haven't watched Arizona State all year. I get that everybody loves the coach. The coach is some kind of maniac, right? I haven't seen what he's been doing, but that's what I've heard.
I don't know. I don't know much about their coach. Is that what you're saying?
That's all I've really seen. All I've really seen is that he goes crazy a couple times, but I can't imagine that a team like Arizona State has the personnel to actually put up a fight against a team like Texas. Maybe they cover the 12.5. I'm not saying that, but when I'm talking about winning the game, I just don't see any way that Texas, with Quinn Ewers, with those big boys on defense, I think they have a couple guys that are slated to be top 10 picks in the draft. It'd be a miracle. I think it'd be a miracle if Arizona State won that game.
Yeah, I'm with you. Tomorrow I like Boise with the points. Dude, I love Georgia.
Well, that's tonight.
I said I like the dogs.
That's tonight.
Oh yeah, that's the one tonight, right?
Yeah, that's starting up in about an hour and a half.
So the other 3 are tomorrow. That one's tonight. So tonight I like Boise with the points, but for tomorrow, I think Georgia -0.5 against Notre Dame. That feels like a steal. I mean, I don't believe in Notre Dame one bit. Like, are you on Notre Dame here?
Well, so the thing is, and like anybody who's watching right now, one of our best friends, my roommate Remo, lifetime generation Notre Dame fan. So I've been kind of along this ride with him for a little bit, and Notre Dame fans feel fucking confident. Usually they're almoys like, they're almost like Niner fans in the sense where you just
the line's strange,
where you expect the worst to happen, right? It seems like Notre Dame's fans were always in that headspace, but now it seems different. Like, now they have confidence, especially going up against a Georgia, like a team that's been running college football for the past 5 years. It feels a little bit different. The line, I get that Carson Beck's out, but something seems off. And I think that there's maybe a chance that a lot of people are sleeping on Notre Dame I think the line came out a lot bigger as well, right? I think it got bet down to what this is now.
Yeah, so it's -0.5 now.
Yeah, so I think that Notre Dame has a legit shot to win it. And you know that they get key talent too.
In Notre Dame, yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
it's not
I
like they're
can't
it's
go
not
through
like
and name
they,
their defense, but they're
it's
a
not like
big
they got a
brand.
bunch of Joes. Or a bunch of bros. They got some Joes out there too.
So there's that, and then the big one. I mean, the Rose Bowl. Come on, I think you're leaning Ohio State, but you want Oregon is kind of what I've read from you.
So okay, so this is what I'll say because I don't want Ohio State. Fuck Ohio State. There's no reason for me to want Ohio State. You're an Oregon guy, so I give you shit a little bit, but the reality is that Oregon beat them. I get that Oregon was at home, but don't you feel like Ohio State something died when they lost to Michigan?
Yeah,
Or
it
is
just
that
seemed like
or is that
no,
just
I
in the
agree.
fan or is that just in the fan base?
I think something happened where like they're turning on the coach, like they're kind of like questioning like what's to come. Like they're looking at the future where it turned from like this year to like what's to come next year and like what we should do going forward. Where like it kind of like took away from the season once they lost the top 5 seed, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think that when they lost to Michigan, they thought that their season was on the line. It looked like the season was over. I mean, Ryan Day, his entire team was trying to fight Michigan. He was just standing there, not knowing what to do, seemed lost. It seemed like he was a dead man walking, that he knew that no matter what, I mean, unless he wins the national championship, that he's going to get fired because he can't be Michigan. He can't get a national championship. So it just seems like the vibes are off for Ohio State, and Oregon's the complete opposite. I mean, you got Dan Lanning, who seems like he's going to be the coach there for 20 years. Seems like he loves Oregon. All the fans love him. The entire team loves him. They've been humming all year. Dylan Gabriel, I've just been seeing him on Twitter all day. It seems like everybody in Oregon loves him. It seems like the vibes are high with Oregon. I think that they have the talent to match up with a team like Ohio State. It's on the West Coast. I mean, is there any chance that Ohio State fans come out in more numbers than Oregon? I don't know
about no, definitely not more numbers, but they'll be there. It's the Rose Bowl. They're going to travel. Ohio State fans are kind of like Oregon fans, where they're across the globe, right? They're international. They're everywhere. So like I was in Santa Clara yesterday, I saw a bunch of Ohio State fans. Funny enough, like a bunch of people from Columbus, Ohio, came in. I was actually funny because there's a lot of Ohio State fans who are also Lions fans. So they come in, they're going to watch this and then travel down to the Rose Bowl. I was talking to some guys at the tailgate who that was their exact scenario. They said they got a group of them. So I think they'll show out. It's not going to be Oregon like only, but it'll be Oregon dominated. I mean, when it was Oregon, I went to the Oregon, Wisconsin. It was 2020 or 2021. It was like 80% Ducks. But Wisconsin still had like a strong showing.
No, not as strong. All right, so give me a prediction.
I'm going to go Ducks. I'm going to another high score. I'm going to go 34-28 Ducks.
Okay, so I say 34-31. I'm going to go with your Ducks, too. I think they move on. Who would they be slated to play after that?
That'd be Texas or Arizona State. So I think it's going to be probably Texas. Even though I don't love Texas. Like, I think they just got to get past Ohio State and they're there.
I think you guys got the magic here this year. But, Sage, all right, I think that's going to be it for the stream. Anything else before we hop off?
No, I think we'll be back soon. Going to week 18 and kind of just giving our reactions maybe to these games and seeing what's next to come for the Niners.
Yeah, I think we definitely want to give some reactions to these college football games. Talk a little bit of around the NFL, but when it comes to the Niners, man, I mean, you gotta be saying that it's gonna be off-season topics from here on out, right?
Oh, it's off-season.
Like, what the hell is this Cardinals game gonna be? This Cardinals game is gonna be nothing.
No, it's literally nothing.
I don't think either team's gonna try it. Like, I don't think either team's gonna put out their best players, and I don't think whether they win or lose matters in terms of the draft order. At least for the Niners, it doesn't.
Yeah, it seems like Niners are locked into 11. Cardinals don't know what they're doing. So they're going to probably try and win, get a moral victory for Gannon and for Kyler. Seems like the perfect game that the Cardinals would want to win. Other than that, there's nothing to play for.
So I'd probably say, yeah, so we got New Year's Eve tonight. We're probably going to be out tonight. You got the college football games tomorrow. So I'd probably say, Sage, let's call it Thursday. Let's call it Thursday. We're going to give you some Niners topics. We're going to talk a little bit about the NFL slate coming up, probably dive deeper into that NFC North situation. But if you're on the stream, like, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff. Follow us, TikTok, Twitter, listen to Spotify and Apple Podcast. That's going to be it for the stream today. We'll talk to you guys later.